Welcome to the Real Estate Finder podcast. I'm Matthew Maschler, real estate broker with the signature real estate companies here in the great state of Florida. And with me, the co-host of the Real Estate Finder podcast, Stacey Garcia. Hi, Stacey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, all right. So this is our new podcast studio. I'm not used to hearing the music at the beginning. Is that the music we've always done? Like if someone listens to the shows, it always starts with that?
I think, yeah, it is.
All right. I don't listen to the show.
We should. It's very educational, and I'm really funny.
You are funny. You know, when I'm done with the show, I never actually know what I say.
Me neither.
I should listen to it to hear what I say.
Yeah.
So, very exciting news here in South Florida. The Florida Panthers NHL hockey team won the Stanley Cup. How exciting is that?
Here's my cup shirt.
Yeah. Do you have season tickets, Stacey?
I do not, but I try to go as much as I can afford to go.
You go to a lot of games.
I do.
Yeah. So I went. I haven't been to a game, Panthers game in years. Probably.
Did you go to the University of Maryland alumni game that one time?
I did. That was about 10 years ago.
It was longer than that, I think.
One of the general managers of the Panthers, the general manager of the Panthers was Michael Yormark at the time,
Yep.
a University of Maryland alumni, and I don't know if he organized it or someone else organized it. But
It was very cool. I know. I remember. We had a great time.
Yeah. Then there was also within a year or two of that there was the WWE professional wrestling night at Panther Stadium.
Did you go to that?
I went to that. They had Tommy Dreamer. What's his name? The Dragon, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat,
Right.
and Christian. So of those three, I knew one of them. I knew Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So,
Well, when they won the Stanley Cup this year,
yeah.
Matthew Tkachuk was wearing his belt. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, I feel like I bought one of those last year, and it's either in a pile in my office or I gave it to Garrett. I don't remember.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Speaking of last year, the Florida Panthers also won the Stanley Cup.
Yes.
And against the same team.
Yes.
Which is really had to make it really special, like going against.
Yes. I didn't even feel like it was a rematch. I think that everyone that was on the side of the Oilers, Edmonton Oilers, thought, okay, well, they can come back and they can really take what was rightfully theirs that they was stolen from them last year, But we
not
didn't. No, I didn't even feel like it was that. I felt like we were just defending champions, and on our side, we were just the better team, and we weren't. We were defending the cup. It could have been anyone else. I think that they were a good team, but I don't feel like they played. They definitely played terribly. I would be mortified. I know fans were throwing their own jerseys onto the ice in Canada.
this year.
Yeah, giving up. And one guy took off his jersey, and underneath his jersey was a Panthers jersey.
Oh, I saw that.
That was hilarious.
But part of the giving up was because it was the second time.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh my God, okay, forget it. We're just never going to win this."
So I'm trying to understand the logic when you say you don't think it was a rematch. You think for the Florida Panthers, they won it last year against whatever team, deserved to play them. And then this year, as defending champions, they played an entire season, and they will play and defend against all comers. It just happened to be the same team.
Yes. So from our perspective, we were just playing to win and defending the cup. And I feel like it was an unbelievable miracle kind of situation.
Yeah.
So on our side, like when they call it a rematch, I really don't feel like it was that. There's a lot of things that, of course, I feel like I was listening to your Zaslow show that you sent, and I completely 100% agree with everything he said on his most recent podcast, which was, this was an amazing series. We played amazing. Any team that would have been playing against us, we would have beat, right? And also in the last game, it was absolutely an amazing game, and they played so well, and there was nothing disappointing. Sam Reinhart took shots on his butt
Uh-huh.
and got 4 shots, more than a hat trick, 4 shots.
Wow.
The next day, people put hats on his lawn, and what he said was, uh, was the only disappointing part of the game, which is 100% true, and I absolutely agree, was that Sergei Bobrovsky, who's the goalie, who's absolutely the backbone of the whole team. He's a brick wall, and he doesn't let any goals in. Is that he um, that Edmonton scored 1 goal. So basically, he would have had a shutout and ended the series on a shutout, and that would have been the most incredible achievement ever. So the only disappointment, and I completely had that moment, was when they scored 1 goal, and I looked at Raiden and I was like, no, because I really wanted Sir Bob to get a shutout, and he didn't. So I felt like when that happened, I was disappointed, but they still won, and it was still amazing. I'm like sitting here crying. This is the only thing in my life that's like so awesome, and I love it. And so we're going to the parade this weekend.
Oh yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
of course, and I'm checking the weather like constantly because I'm obsessive and neurotic. And it's of course out of all the days, it hasn't rained. We're in a drought. It hasn't rained in forever. April
Uh-huh.
showers didn't come. May flowers didn't come, and now we're in June, and it's about to rain. Like making up for it, and it
Uh-huh.
hasn't started yet, but it's gonna rain. I'm sure on the parade. Like it's like
Rain, that's
it's
rain on.
gonna rain on our parade.
That's how the expression came out, I guess.
Yeah, it was Barbara Streisand singing "Don't Rain on Our Parade,"
Uh-huh.
and I say that like a super fan, but yes, I am. And but I'm going this year, even in the rain. I don't care.
Uh-huh.
And the boys are going, and their girlfriends are going, and we're gonna stand in the rain, and I have to. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
I'm not saying no and like convincing myself it's not important and that the rain's a big deal. I don't even own an umbrella. I never care if I get wet. I don't have a hairstyle. I have nothing to lose at all, to
Uh,
stand in the rain or whatever. And I just really want to be part of it. I don't really drink, so it's not like I go to the elbow room during the day or anytime and wait for somebody to pour beer from the cup into my face. You know what I mean? But I would love a picture with my family with the cup, and or just me, or whatever I can do, and just be part of the whole, experience.
right.
So Monday I'll probably be crippled and exhausted and sick. But I don't like to be around crowds. But I'm breaking my uh rule. Yeah.
Your crowd rule. Yeah, but I want to talk about what you said before about defending, right? Like, so
Yeah.
you don't think that the Panthers were defending. Do you think that well, you don't think that the Panthers thought it was a rematch, but do you think that uh, the Oilers thought it was a rematch?
They for sure 100% were coming back to be
Get
better, be
yeah,
better. And they were actually so much worse than they were last year. Last year
really.
they were a contender, and we were nervous, and 100% last year maybe they think it was stolen because last year they were really, really good. But
Mhm.
this year it was like a joke. I felt bad for Connor McDavid, even though I don't like him at all. And the joke was yesterday or the day before, uh, everyone was saying I went over to Connor McDavid's house for a drink, but he didn't have any cups. You know,
Uh,
so but
last last year's Stanley Cup, did the team did a player on the losing team win the MVP?
yeah, he did, and he had gone in the locker room, and he wouldn't come out to accept the award.
Yeah, because who wants? I mean, who wants
The
to be
kind of,
the
yeah,
MVP?
he didn't come out to accept the award, and it was kind of like bitter. And you kind of they were making it a personal drama. He's in the locker room crying. You can't make this guy come out and the winning team is celebrating like crazy, and he's going to stand there and go accept I think it's a Fife award
Yeah.
for best player. And I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think it takes a lot to put your whole life. You came and this is something you've been fighting for your whole life, and you have to, suppress all of that to be the better person and go get your award. I think he would have gotten a lot of respect had he gotten it, but you know what? Who knows what our fans would have done to him? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you would think that the MVP should be from the winning team. That doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Also, I think that last year the MVP of the whole series, and this year, I also think the same thing. Even though I'll go either way, but um, I think Bob, our goalie, was the MVP.
Yeah, that's is that who won it or
No, mm-mm.
yeah? Because
Um,
everybody was going nuts for that goalie. Everybody was loving Bob.
Sam Bennett won the award and the trophy,
Yeah,
and it was well deserved,
yeah.
But
I went to game 4.
yeah, well, how was it?
Well, we lost. We were up 3 goals in the first period. It was great. So
Yeah.
game 1, Oilers won. Game 2, Panthers won. Game 3, Panthers won. So it was 2-1 Panthers. I didn't go to game 3. I was away. David went with his friends.
Hmm.
Shout out to Garrett Jacobs at the Garden for getting me tickets for game 3 and 4. So no, I went to game 3. No, no, I went to game 4. I went to game
Right.
4.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and then that was when we lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we were
So
up
they
3.
say that. Do you think that we lost? I mean, there was kind of like, do you think Garrett and I talked about for the Panthers? He said, maybe we lost on purpose so that we could go to Game 5 and win in Canada, and then come here and win
No,
the cup.
you can't lose on purpose to win the next 2 straight.
It's
One,
two,
one, one away,
right?
because you're supposed to split those 2 and win it in 7 there, which is
Right.
good. No, if
Yeah.
no, I don't buy that.
Well, some people think that because then they would win at home, and winning at home is so much better than winning away,
Even though
right?
if they won game 4, then
Then
they
they would lose.
they could still win at home if they lose the next game,
Yeah.
right? It's that's way too risky, way too risky. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's very risky.
and we were by where the Panthers shoot once.
Yes. That's
So
my favorite side, where the Panthers shoot
no,
once.
no, I'm sorry, Panthers
Oh,
shoot
you're where they shoot twice.
Panthers shoot once, right? So the 3 goals in the first period were on the other side.
Right.
The 3 goals that the Oilers did in the
On
second
your
period
side.
were on the other side.
Right.
And then the third period, there was no goals.
Yeah.
And then the overtime goal was on the other side. So 7
Uh,
goals, we missed not all of them. But it was
uh,
so much fun to see the energy. And then I was a little bit under the weather, so I didn't go to game 6.
yeah.
Wendy and David did. Wendy and I had a 7 a.m. flight the
All
next
right.
morning. So I canceled the flight because I was under the weather, and I got Wendy a later flight so she can go to the game. And her and David went to the game and had an
The
absolute
best time ever.
great time. David's
It's so much better when they win.
so much better than they win, and especially to win the Stanley Cup. Right?
Uh-huh.
Like David's like
Oh
to
my
see my
God. I was very jealous of Wendy. I was watching,
yeah.
her post, and so I was definitely one of the hugest things that, I mean, I don't know that she would even notice, is that it used to be, and even last year, when you go to a Panthers game, a lot of the fans are wearing the jersey of the other team, and they're not our fans.
Mhm.
They come here and
Right.
they pay.
Well, speaking of real estate, right? Florida is a great place to live, and we're a host city. So if you are a Buffalo Sabres fan or a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, what could be better than to come to Florida for the weekend, hang out at the beach, see
Mhm.
a game, and go home? So so you were saying?
So this game, the whole series, and especially the game that Wendy was at, they always say to wear red, but not all of our fans wear uh, jerseys from our team, but of all different colors and all different logos, because we change cats every few years,
Uh-huh.
and so and that, like, I wear a cancer jersey. It's like lavender and white, and
Mhm.
sometimes I wear just a Bob jersey. Like, I have different jerseys that I wear depending where
Sure.
we sit and stuff. So this year was the first year that there were no Edmonton jerseys that I could see in groups in the whole stadium, which
Oh,
is unbelievable. I know people came here from Canada. I read about the people who came and they were disappointed and all of that. But this was the first year that I noticed that our whole arena was full of Cats fans.
that's
And
great.
I was so proud of Florida. I know that we've sold out on season tickets. There's a waiting list for season tickets now, which is
Oh, is there?
unbelievable. Yeah. And so the game that Wendy was at, I was watching all of all the fans were Cats fans. I mean, I know that they showed, this is what I hate about NHL on TNT, which is where Wayne Gretzky and Henrik Lundqvist and the Biz, they only show Edmonton fans. Like literally, they will take the camera and only show Edmonton fans in Canada and in our arena. They just don't show Cats fans at all. So it's super frustrating. And this was the first year that our whole arena was full, and they're still finding Edmonton fans to show on camera,
Oh,
right?
wow. Yeah.
Like, but they're picking them out. Last year they were everywhere. They buy, they have money, and they come here and they think it's cheap because they pay a lot more money where they are.
Uh-huh.
So for the seats. So there was the game Wendy was at was the first one where I commented to my son because we watched it together. We all watch it together, but Raiden and I are like partners. I said, this is the first game I'm so psyched to not see groups of Canadians, with the best seats against the ice, against the glass.
Uh-huh.
And and there were a lot of people were wearing red, which was it's kind of a hard thing to do because there's so many colored jerseys that are the Panthers jerseys. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, that was to me a big change from last year. And I hope going forward that season ticket holders don't think of it as a money grab to
Mm.
sell to the other team's
Sure.
fans coming for an away game, because the energy in that stadium that Wendy had was unreal.
I have to correct myself.
Yeah.
That the game that I saw where we got 3 and they got 3.
Yeah.
Um, in the third period, I said nothing happened, but like
Uh-huh.
at the very, very end of the third period,
Yeah.
the Oilers got a goal,
Right.
and then all of a sudden we went from being up 3-0 to like losing the game.
Right.
So
Right.
The Oilers did get a goal in that third period, and
Yeah.
Panthers got a goal like with 19 seconds left,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Exactly.
forced us into overtime. So
Right. And that was a great game. It was a great game.
mhm.
But I also feel like I don't think they could have faked a loss. You know what
Right.
I mean? It was too
No,
good of a game.
yeah. And then
So
I saw Snarp. Do you know Snarp on YouTube?
no. Mm-mm.
He's a troll, and he goes to the games wearing the other team's shirts just to
Oh,
try to like film people getting flipped off.
yeah.
So I saw him, but I don't know if I was able to if I made his YouTube.
Mm. Usually I mean now they're actually advertising on TNT because the commercials on TNT are just also all other sports, right? So they're
Uh-huh.
advertising on TNT the I'm trying to think what it is. The Las Vegas outdoor wrestling, the one you went to, but all outdoor.
WrestleMania.
Yeah. And they're gonna have us. I don't know if it came out already, but they were advertising. Uh, Also, the guy that won, who's the older guy that won WrestleMania?
John Cena.
Yeah, him in Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
right? They were advertising that during the game, in between on commercials, and I was looking for you in the commercials
Oh yeah.
because they show WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's kind of my where's Waldo? Where's Matthew? Whenever we see a wrestling thing.
It
Um,
happens sometimes. It
no,
happens.
I do. Sometimes I'm like, he's right there. Like you just look pop up, on the screen. So Remy walked in one day and he looked at the screen and he's like, "That's Matthew." I'm like, "Yeah, it is. He's totally sitting right there."
But the
Uh,
incredible thing about the Florida Panthers is that 3 years ago they got to the Stanley Cup and they didn't win.
right.
So I just from a real estate point of view, it's very exciting to live in a champion city, in a destination city that even when the teams aren't good,
Mhm.
all of our teams, the Heat, the Marlins, the Panthers, people will come for vacation to see their team from away. But
Yep.
but when the teams are good, like, I don't know the exact effect. Certainly, like, we can look at the economic effect that Stanley Cup has to the area, hotels and restaurants and bars and stuff.
Everything's booked.
Yeah, so very exciting to live. We talk about how great it is to live in Florida, the weather, the taxes, the economy, and then
The taxes is a huge debate right now that the Canadian, well, the Biz brought up with Wayne Gretzky and Gary Bettman, the commissioner of hockey at NHL hockey, that he was saying, like, he was shutting him down, saying, do you think it's unfair that the Panthers can get all the most amazing Canadian players and also any players basically, and they want to live in Florida because there's no income tax, and they can get better players because it's very attractive package if you compare the package
if you
for
have a
them living somewhere.
if you have a salary cap and all the teams have to offer equal compensation, is it
Mhm.
unfair that that someone can live in Florida and be tax advantaged, or live in New Jersey and suffer taxes? Taking taxes out, Florida's better than New Jersey. Why would you want to live in New Jersey, right? If you could live in Florida, right?
Right.
But what's your take on it before I give you mine?
I think it's a moot point, and I completely agree with Gary, the commissioner of hockey, because if that was the case and we had an unfair advantage, it wouldn't have taken us like 20, 30 years to get a good team,
Uh-huh.
to get in the finals, to get to this place where we just won the Stanley Cup twice and we were in the finals three times. You
Right,
know what I mean? It
right,
would
right,
have happened a long time ago. And I worked for the Panthers in 2013 and we were in last place
right.
that
But
year.
right. Major League Baseball, right?
Yeah,
The mass market teams are always going to do better, right? Milwaukee Brewers just can't. Cleveland Indians, they just can't compete with the salaries that the Yankees and the Dodgers can offer. So the
right.
other sports, like hockey, try to have a salary cap. One of the reasons why the unfair advantage fails is the way, and I don't know about Canadian law, but let's just say they were a California team, and right, or Jersey, or the Jersey Devils, or New York Islanders, or something. Um,
Mhm.
the players are still there's so the federal income tax is the same. Everybody pays that the same. That's equal. So it's the state income tax we're talking about.
Right.
And some states, that's only about 3 or 4%. It's only really the highest tax states: New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, California, where it's considerable. Massachusetts, right, where it can become 9, 10, even up to 12 or 15%. So even if it's 15%, the games played in those states are taxed to those states. So when the Florida Panthers play the Boston Bruins,
Yep.
that's earned income in Massachusetts.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
right, so if you take the entire salary package, it's not, and if you're paying if there's a 12% income tax difference between the two states, if you take the entire salary package, that 12% doesn't apply to the entire package. It only applies to so the Florida Panthers have to pay income tax to Massachusetts, California, all the different states that they play in.
And that also applies, doesn't it, for when they come and they play here?
Well, so right, so when the Boston Bruins play in Florida, the Boston still has to pay income tax to Massachusetts, because
Right.
it's all income that they earn, no matter where they earn it,
Right.
right? So it's unfair. It does get unfair to that team, right? That they have to pay their taxes and all this stuff. But the other issue is endorsements and other income.
That's true. But you
So
know what?
so
And this is
so
very, go ahead.
so my summary is it's not as bad as people think, but it is a
Right.
little bad. So it really only affects the top earners, the ones that are
Right.
getting commercial deals and the
Mhm.
shirt deals. It really only affects the top players, but those top players are still going to factor in playing for the best available team. right? They want
Yeah.
to play for a team that's going to win and that's going to be capable, and they're not going to play for an inferior team for tax benefits if they can't get to a championship, right? That's what LeBron learned, even
Right.
though he was able to put a team around him to eventually win the championship.
But it took time, right?
But it does take time.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of people, a lot of effort to to get together and say, listen, let's build this entire team in Florida. It's not one-off players.
No, and definitely. And look, it's taken this many years. Bill Zito put the team together by strategically picking players that he thought would be amazing in
Yeah,
1 or 2 or even 10 years,
right, right,
depending on how long their contract was. But
right.
and that's actually been the case with Bob and Matthew Chuck,
Yeah.
because he knew right away that it wasn't going to be magic.
So like, the city and the state, you know, when the offer comes to play for this city and state, the player has to look at both, right? What is the team? What's the team going to be like? What's the coach going to be like? What's the environment going to be like? What are the chances to win the championship? And also for your wife and kids, what is it going to be like to live there, right?
Yeah,
So,
I could talk about this for a
yeah,
million hours,
yeah,
because it's
sure,
so
yeah,
it's the real estate part of it is fascinating also. Like um Brad Marchand just came here from Boston,
uh,
and uh you know a week before he was acquired, everybody hated him and they wanted to like basically take him out, right? But then he became part of the team, and they asked Paul Maurice, the coach, how is it that they didn't want to break his legs, because he just came into the locker room, and they asked Brad Marchand, how did you assimilate so well, that to the point where he became one of the top scoring players of all time in the finals, and also in this Stanley Cup.
uh,
So, and he hasn't won in 10 years. He
uh,
hasn't, I think it was at least 10 years he hasn't won. He's on the cup. All the players looked on the cup for his name, and they got all excited because his name's on it, and they wanted to like say, "Oh my God." So,
what I thought was nice, because the Panthers won the year before. They let
yeah,
all the players who never won a Stanley Cup skate with
yeah.
the Stanley Cup first.
Yeah, yeah, it's an unbelievable team, and the coach is my favorite. He's my favorite person ever. And
Mm,
he's like, this team is a family. They lead with love, and they absolutely love each other, and it's so magical. Like
yeah,
that bleeds out to the fans, and
I
it
mean,
bleeds out like to everything. Like that's why I love it. I guess I also love, I mean, listen, I was a Philadelphia Flyers fan.
uh,
So I love the Broad Street Bullies. One reason I love hockey is to watch the fights.
oh, in
What?
Game 3, did you see that fight in Game 3?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
last
oh,
year it was full out brawl nonstop. So yeah, I mean, and even the Four Nations was Matthew got hurt. Matthew got hurt at Four Nations, and I also feel like next year they really need to work on the timing, because our team got hurt badly. We had so many players play for the Four Nations, which
uh-huh.
was what we were watching in Houston when we were there for a month. That was going on, and that was like the Olympics basically, even though we're coming up and we're also in the Olympics. So our players are playing for various other events and getting hurt, so it's making our team suffer. But this time, thankfully, we could still pull it off. um
I was once at in the Caribbean
uh-huh.
during the Winter Olympics, and there was some Panther players, and there was all kinds of NHL players there because they had a week or two off because of the
Oh yeah.
Olympics.
Yeah, I think they're amazing. I'm so excited. I can't wait to, go and see them in person.
Yeah,
And I mean, I really could talk about it for a million hours. I do think now we could definitely market. I just saw a house, and I looked to see how far it was away from the arena,
uh-huh,
how for players.
uh-huh,
This was the house on Hubzu. I don't know if you got the Hubzu email about the house that was for sale at auction, not in a distressed property situation.
uh-huh.
And it was a $5 million equestrian estate in
Uh,
Kendall. And I was like, okay, how far away is this from the arena? You know what I mean? Because a player or a coach, hypothetically, if they're into horses, they could totally live here.
sure.
But there's so many other places closer, but this was an amazing property with an amazing, beach backyard, but, further west. And I did my thing that you do. I did how much time would it take for them to get to the arena so they could go to work, but they practice in the east side of Fort Lauderdale, so they have to be somewhere, I guess 595 and east, and
Right.
west, go east west all day. And so I definitely think it's a major selling point for hockey fans, and maybe people will think of it as I want to live in Florida because I want to get season tickets and I
Yeah.
want to go, because it's not unreasonable to say that I can put my name now. There's a waiting list, but I can put my name now and I can get really good seats
Hmm.
at a really decent price compared to Madison Square Garden,
Right.
Rangers, wherever. And I definitely think, um, pending all other things that are going on in real estate, this is definitely a selling point, and I'm really like excited. I know people are coming from all around to celebrate, and I hope, and I know it's crazy to say, but I was around for the three-peat for the Miami Heat.
Uh-huh.
I think that, white hot heat. I
Yeah.
think that the Panthers, I hate to even say it because we haven't even celebrated yet, right? But that next year they have an amazing team. No one's leaving. No one
Right.
wants to leave. No one wants to be traded.
Do you think we're going to get there's one player that's has his contract up on the Oilers, the one that won the MVP last
Oh,
year?
so Connor McDavid, they were
Yeah.
saying he's an unsigned free agent. If he wanted to, if we gave him, he's an amazing player. He's just
Mm.
so sad and angry. If he would he come to the Florida and would he play on our team? If he did, nobody could beat us.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Does he hate our team right now? Yes, but so did Brad Marchand. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
So, would you want to come to Florida and play for a winning team?
Absolutely.
I would,
Absolutely.
especially if I lost with my own players. The only problem is he's very close with his own coach, and he's very close with the player that he plays with, Drysaitel, who we call Dry Socket here.
Yeah.
And
But they'd have to make him an offer, and then Florida would have
yeah,
to make him an offer.
I
But
mean,
I mean,
we could learn to hate him here.
come to Florida. You have to live in Florida and make a lot of money, and then you could win a Stanley Cup.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
I mean, how do you say no to that?
Okay, yeah, yeah. See, it's very
But
hard to.
but exactly what you said. Living in an area with access to a professional sports team. You know, um, you know, I don't know how many years ago that when Florida didn't have a hockey team, didn't have a baseball team, right? And that's why it was the Florida Marlins and the Florida Panthers. The whole
Yeah,
state didn't
and
have a team. Now,
even the Florida jerseys, the away jerseys say Florida.
Florida, right?
Yeah, the jerseys here say Panthers.
Right. Well, see, right. Whereas usually the away jersey is the city, but
Right.
it was the Florida Marlins and the Florida Panthers because Florida didn't have any other teams. Now when the Marlins got the new stadium, they became Miami, and Tampa
Yeah,
had the baseball team. Now Tampa also has the hockey team.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, Lightning.
but it's it's still the Florida Panthers. And but what you said about moving to an area with access to a professional sports team, like I spent the summer in San Diego, they have the
Yeah,
baseball team, but they lost their football team and they don't have any other sports.
right.
Even Southwest Florida, like Naples and Fort Myers, right? They have to go to Tampa or down or very far
And
to
you know what they do? People
they
go to
do
Tampa from here. We go to. I mean, I would like to go to Tampa for an away game for the Panthers
for an
to
away
wear.
game. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but for a home team.
yeah. Well, of course,
If you live in Naples, your home team is either Tampa or the Miami teams.
yep.
That's
Hmm.
it. So that I would not want to live in an area that did not have access to major professional sports teams.
Agree.
So
Okay, I gotta go.
all right. So yes. So
This is awesome.
if you are a professional athlete and looking to move to Florida, or if you are need real estate in any way, please contact us at Real Estate Finder, and feel free to reach out to us, Matt at Real Estate Finder or Stacy at Real Estate Finder, to tell us, ask any questions, or tell us any stories about if you've ever moved because of a sports team. Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate Finder podcast. Checking out our new studio. I'm Matthew Maschler, realestatefinder.com. Uh, have a great day and go Cats.
The future looks bright and the storms pass by. The sky's dark blue and it's almost that time. Light shows, cameras flash when I pass. Living in the moment, forget about the past. They save the best for last. Matthew Mania, we bout to make a splash. Life is a marathon full of sharp turns. Gotta keep pace while the hands on the clock turns. High stakes, 5-star real estate. I run a show, you can tell the boss in the place. Electricity, energy, it vibrates. I'm always on time even if I'm late. I make dreams come true. Living my life, hope the same for you. Success in my sights, got a real clear view. If you don't know the time, I'll give you a clue. You know what time, you know what time, you know what time it is. Yeah. You know what time, you know what time, you know what time it is. You know what time, you know what time, you know what time it is. You know what time, you know what time, you know what time it is. You know what time it is. You know whose time it is. You know what time it is. Matthew Mania, the time is his. You know what time it is. You know whose time it is. You know what time it is. Matthew Mania, the time is his. Yeah, got him shook, scared, can't look. Wearing